SMQBs, this is episode 145. Is this the last episode of the year? Might be, huh?
There
Happy
might be other
holidays.
episodes. They just might not be live.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay. Well, we'll keep the entertainment coming hot and heavy tonight. House, give me your one number of the week.
My number of the week is 24. That is the number worn by Tulane forward Kevin Cross, who get this. He joins Penny Hardaway as the only Division I player with consecutive 20-plus point triple doubles since assists became official in 1984. There's only been two players in Division I history with 20-plus point consecutive triple double games: Penny Hardaway and Kevin Cross. Crazy.
Wow, that's a good one. All right, Rooster, how about your number?
7. The draft position of the Giants after this ridiculous Tommy DeVito streak. We've gone from 3 to 7, and I don't know what we have accomplished in the process.
A lot of fun though.
Yeah,
a lot
it's
of
been
fun.
It's
Yeah,
been
a lot
fun.
of fun. It's been fun for everybody.
Yeah,
Wrong.
I'm going to give you my
It's
number.
been cute.
My number is $2 billion. That's the amount of money that the Commonwealth of Virginia had to pay up to be able to pork the district right in the ass this last week. We'll be talking more about that later.
Oh boy.
You know, our governor just doesn't like the district, period.
Yeah. Pope, what's your number?
92. Number of total yards the Cowboys had as the end of the third quarter in Buffalo on Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
Pathetic.
The parade is in jeopardy.
No.
And Milk, what do you got for us?
158.3. You guys know what that is.
Passer rating
Oh,
for
it's
the
a
fake
perfect
man.
quarterback rating
Perfect passer rating.
from the
And
number
who
one
got
draft
it in
pick.
Lambeau Field.
First time in Lambeau Field.
Baker
Wow.
Mayfield.
Wow.
Baker.
All right, well, let's get into it.
Just
We're
when
let
going to
it
do
lifetime loyalty needed on the most.
a little NFL recap here, and then we're gonna look back at the year of 2023 as the holidays and the new year approaches. House, why don't you take us through the NFL week? What was this? 15?
I practiced all afternoon my best Stephen A. impression. I
Let's see it.
I can't
were
pull it
great.
off.
It was great.
Told you.
The okey doke.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
I
House,
mean, there's,
House, you might be
there's-
from Philadelphia, but you are not from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
That's your impersonation.
If that's
there
your
are
Stephen A. impersonation,
No, that was.
jeez.
There are so many joyous reasons to watch the Cowboys lose, but none more so than Stephen A's the way he does it after they. My God, how much did the Cowboys fans hate Stephen A? Oh man. But listen, guys, just 1 week ago, I think Pope was putting the crown on Dak Prescott's head. And I think the words were like, well, they got something now and they're feeling it on offense and all this stuff. The Bills stink. The Bills stink. Josh Allen stinks. And the Bills steamrolled that team. Steamrolled them.
they
And I
ran
can
right
say
down
this-
their throats.
Well,
I can
I
say this
don't
very
disagree.
safely because the Eagles haven't played yet this week.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying, but the Bills do not stink, and I think they're going to
But-
prove it.
You have to admit though, I was surprised to see Dalvin Cook out there running for all those touchdowns, right? That was shocking.
That was his younger brother, by the way.
Oh, what? That
Yeah.
wasn't actually Dalvin Cook? Oh
That
my
was-
God, you guys got steamrolled by the younger brother?
He's faster than Dalvin.
Oh, shit, I didn't
Yeah,
even
he's
realize
a lot better
that.
than Dalvin these days.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'll tell you, the Cowboys
terrible.
tricked us all into thinking that they could actually go on the road and win a game after they beat the Eagles. I guess they need 12 days of preparation.
What trick are you talking about? Have you seen them on the road lately? They beat,
Well, they
the
beat the Eagles
Panthers.
in Philly.
Can you
Right?
No, they
please
didn't.
find that?
No, they
that-
didn't. They
that
lost
that was
to
a
the
graphic
home
of
Eagles
the-
game.
in
That was
Philly.
a home game. That's right.
Yes.
We got to find that graphic of the Dallas fans, like
Yes.
during the season.
Yeah.
It's like after the Eagles game, they had won the Super Bowl. They were about to win the Super Bowl, and now we're back. We've almost completed the circle. Oh yeah,
Where they,
Dak's our quarterback.
they
Well,
all
there
think
was
we're
a lot
losing the first playoff game.
There was a lot of trickery and pretendery going on out there this week, right? I mean, if you look at some of these games, like Denver almost got tricked into thinking they were back and pretty good.
Yeah, we were
The
talking about Sean
Steelers-
Payton last week.
The Steelers got tricked into thinking that they
Steelers.
were a playoff team and looked pretty good.
Never. They suck.
How about the Green Bay Packers got tricked into thinking that Jordan Love was pretty decent and they were a good team?
How about Atlanta?
The
How about
trick is that
Atlanta?
the Bucks are good. Don't fall into that either.
How about the
They suck.
Falcons?
Definitely wasn't worried about the Falcons, but the Panthers. I mean, what a barn burner of a game. So, yeah,
We almost got.
So are
tricked
the
into
Lions?
thinking that
The Lions
I was
back
gonna
now?
no.
It's hard to say with that team, man.
But let me just say this because you brought up the Lions, Pope. I think the Lions now have one of top 2 or 3 best tight ends in football in Laporta. And how about this for this week's my hot take this week? I'm not sure I would put Travis Kelce in the top 5 tight ends in football right now.
Not right now.
He's in love.
don't do this.
Sorry, Bison.
Don't do this.
He's been yokoed. He is
Can
not
somebody-
good.
He's been yokoed.
We can all agree that, like, in all seriousness, this has to do with Taylor Swift, right?
Yes.
He was really good in the first few weeks of the year.
How about it might have something to do with the fact that he's surrounded by the worst wide receivers in all of football.
Oh my
And
God.
everybody-
Kadarius Toney again.
Every team should just be triple covering Travis.
I don't know.
Weren't those the same receivers that they won a Super Bowl with though last year?
No.
I'm pretty sure.
No, they had.
Why?
No.
They didn't have Tyreek Hill.
No, they didn't have.
No,
Hill,
no,
but
of course
they had
not. They
some
didn't
others.
have.
Right.
They-
Who was
they-
their wide receivers last year?
Well, they didn't
Toney.
have Kadarius
Peterman?
Toney.
Tony. I mean,
Hardeman?
Hardeman.
Yeah.
They didn't have anybody.
That's her.
Well, I mean,
That's all I can
there's a
explain.
big difference between
Well,
having
they-
nobody and having
somehow
people
they
who can
beat
catch
Philly.
the football.
Because Taylor Swift was not in the picture. Travis Kelce.
Listen, did you see Taylor on the Jumbotron yesterday at that game?
Yes.
With her dad.
She is precious. Just leave her out
Oh
of
my
this.
God, Bison.
get
Leave
it.
She
her out of
was
this.
she was
Bison.
dropping F-bombs after he
She got really mad about the pass interference.
Bison.
mean- You mean when he flopped in the end zone?
Yeah.
She was all mad. She said the F word. It was flop, not in the other one.
She's gonna write a song about that call.
Probably.
Did-
That referee's that official's gonna hate it because his name's gonna go down in a Taylor Swift song now.
How did the Raiders go from 0 points against the Vikings to 63 points against the Chargers? How?
How? That team quit. They quit. So
Yeah, the
did
Chargers
they
are
ever win?
horrendous.
yeah.
Wow.
Talk about it.
So
Talk
we've
about
had
bad.
2 head coaches get their heads chopped off since the last pod. Now,
I mean, weren't we all talking
Yeah.
about the Chargers at the beginning of the year? Like,
yeah,
they're gonna maybe win a division. I mean, definitely playoffs.
they were in the playoffs last year.
You know what? That would be a great team for a good coach to take over.
It's a very attractive job.
Yeah, I think so too. Their coaches were the worst.
Yeah.
Rooster, do you think that Bill Belichick returns that team to a playoff team next year?
The Chargers?
Yeah.
No, I think he's beyond the point of being able to effectively motivate young players.
Well, somehow their defense is one of the top ones in the NFL right now.
Well,
He's
it's all
doing
based on
something.
talent. It's all based on talent, but not coaching.
What's a better job, the San Diego job or the Washington or San Diego, LA job, or the Commanders job, which has 90 million in cap space and 5 out of the first 100 picks in the draft?
Well,
I
do
think
you
I'd
think
go with
Herbert?
Washington.
So are you gonna keep Howell?
Well, you don't have to. You get to decide.
Is Herbert a franchise quarterback? in your mind?
I'm
I
not
think he
so
gets
sure
another
anymore.
he gets another shot at being a franchise quarterback for sure.
If he is, I
Under a
would go with
new coach.
LA.
I think one more year of Staley would have ruined his career for sure.
Yeah. But they're
That's-
competitive jobs
Yeah.
because of the cap situation.
Yep.
And the picks in DC.
I think if I were a head coach, I'd go Washington over LA.
I think your path to the playoffs in the future over the next 3 to 4 years is better at the Chargers. I think the Eagles and Dallas are going to remain good teams, and I think they're going to be a roadblock. So you're already cutting off potential access. I don't know. I think the San Diego job is better. I probably might take the weather too.
Well, that's one of the problems with the Los Angeles Chargers job is that so many people associate it with San Diego. They have no fan base.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, being the coach of the Commanders, is a big plum. I mean, that's pretty cool. But who cares? You're coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. You have SoFi Stadium, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. All right. Is there anything we got a lot we want to do on this pod? So is there anything else in the NFL before we get to our Plaxicos?
I'll say that we probably shouldn't skip over them because I thought that it would have been a closer matchup than it was between the Ravens and the Jags. I think the Ravens defense is so dominant this year that it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be all about Lamar. And I really think they are clearing the path to be the true front runner. Amazingly, we're not talking about the Chiefs so much anymore, but I think if the Ravens are home against the Chiefs, they win that game.
You never know what you're getting with the Ravens. So they don't seem to be able to turn it on until late in the game.
Ravens play Miami. I think the second to last game, and then Miami. It'll be interesting. I mean, I said I was gonna roast Dallas, and I'm happy to do it, and I'm not going to take too much time. But Dallas, once again, all the doubts are coming back, and this is a massive road game on Sunday against Miami on Christmas Eve. I mean, they have a chance to flip the narrative once again. If they go in, they beat Miami. But if they lose to Miami, then all of the we can't win on the road are going to be reinforced, and I think they'll be, assuming that they beat Tampa Bay in the first round, assuming it's Tampa Bay again. I don't know. Tampa Bay's playing much better. They're going to be roadkill in San Francisco once again. But Miami, assuming Miami gets past Dallas, then they play the Ravens. I think it's in Miami. I'm not positive, but for probably the first seed. And then the NFC, I mean, San Francisco certainly has the inside track to that. Do you see anybody see? Of course, San Francisco plays the Ravens this week. I mean, that could be a Super Bowl preview, guys.
That is going to be nice.
Yes, could be.
So can we talk about how bad
San Francisco
the NFC
loses?
is?
Does Philly get an opportunity to get first seed? House?
Yep, could happen. Just have to win out.
I'm so shocked that the 6th seed and the 7th seed of the NFC playoffs don't have a winning record. And one of them is the Minnesota Vikings.
There's only 4 teams in the NFC with winning records. That's pretty bad.
Crazy.
Okay, but the bottom of the AFC is pretty bad too. I mean,
Bengals?
okay, so 8 and 6
Really?
instead of 7
Jake
and 7.
Browning?
But all right, I mean, he's a Hall of Fame candidate. But besides him,
are you talking about the bottom of the playoffs or the bottom of the league of the
Are you
conference?
coming after Gardner Minshew
playoffs.
on me? Don't you come after him?
I mean, Buffalo right now they're the 9 seed, but they could easily get up into a wild card.
All right, last thing on the NFL. Since we may not record live the next 2 weeks, everybody right now has to put in, as of today, you have to put in your vote for the NFL MVP because the SMQBs will be deciding the MVP. So let's go around the horn. Milk?
God, I really want to say Tyreek, but that injury hurt him. I mean, I want to give it to Brock Purdy, man. I think that guy's earned it. I know he's
All
not
right.
flashy, but
Pope,
McCaffrey,
Bison,
CMC,
Brock Purdy.
Rooster.
Run CMC.
Yeah, it's CMC. The
oh,
guy's
break the
ridiculous.
tie.
The guy's ridiculous. I think it's got to go to CMC.
The
But
only question is,
5 votes to the Niners on here. 5.
the only question is, well, look at us, right? We split the San Francisco vote. So that's the only concern I would have for MVP for San Francisco. Do they split the vote and let somebody else slip in?
You
That's a
think
good
Dak
point.
is going to sneak in there?
No.
Jalen.
Dak only MVP he is right now. As of today, December the 18th is most valuable pretender. But when we reconvene in 3 weeks, we'll see.
Just a guy, Pope. He's just a guy. Someone's been
Yeah,
telling you that for years.
He is just a guy on the road. I will agree with that.
But look,
right,
if
so-
Jalen gets healthy, he's got Giants twice and Cardinals, where he can really mop up at the end of the year. He could look good.
We'll see. First, he's got to show up tonight, play the flu game.
So next time we get together will be the last week, I guess, of the NFL season. So it'll be fun. See where we are.
So should we do Plaxico?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are we? Do we have a tally yet?
Yes, it's going to be revealed on one of our holiday shows. We're going to
Okay.
reveal that.
Okay.
So people have to
Was I
listen
the-
in for that.
Am I the only one with a win last week?
You're on a streak, man. You are
Yeah,
on a
Because I
streak.
feel like that there was some chuckling at the points, the amount of the points.
There's a lot.
You're not. There's still a game to be played. There's still a contestant for this week. I have my
Right.
pick
you
is
could,
not.
You could have a win too, House.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this week. I'll start it
Okay.
off.
Go.
I don't know where to go because I don't believe in any of these fucking teams anymore. They're all a mess, I think. But I'm going to take the Colts giving 2.5 at the Falcons.
I like that.
Who's recording this?
I just think the Falcons are shit.
You are.
You are,
Hope
House.
is. Oh God damn it!
You want me
All
to?
right.
I will. I don't
Yeah,
care.
House, this
yeah.
is your
I
job.
liked your handwriting. I liked your handwriting from last week. All right, you got the.
So we got
He's got-
Bison with the Colts minus what?
2.5
2.5.
on the road.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna go with mine. My shock pick of the week. I am taking the Buccaneers +1 at home against the Jags. You understand this is such
Wow.
a hedge for me. This is such a great hedge. But
You're doing that so they lose.
I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing here. The Bucks +1 at home against the Jags. Write it down.
Holy
Wow.
shit. Okay.
Don't be baited, Milk.
God, take the. I kind of like the
Make
Eagles.
your own decision. Make your own decision, Milk.
Am I up?
Yeah.
I will take the Lions -3 at Minnesota. I like that.
Yeah, that's a good
That's a
one.
good one.
Get Bucks.
All right, I'm going to take the Packers -4.5 at the lowly Panthers.
Mm.
The Panthers are on a winning streak. Well, it's not a streak yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be able to pull 2 wins in a row.
Yeah.
All right.
Pope?
Anything against the Panthers is a good bet.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go to the potentially preview of the Super Bowl, and I'm going to say the Niners cover giving 5.5 against the Ravens.
Wow.
Ballsy. I
Wow.
like it.
And in our Plaxico look back, the worst pick of the season was that's a
Well, I don't
ballsy
know
pick.
because Rooster had the Cowboys this week.
Cowboys tricked
True.
me into thinking they were good.
The
Can I ask you guys a question? Because I confess I don't celebrate Christmas like you guys.
That's a
Do you guys-
confession.
Yeah, in case our fans didn't know that, but do you guys actually watch these sporting events on Christmas? Is it like the way we do on Thanksgiving? Like, do you turn on basketball and football
Oh,
games and
yeah.
watch
Oh,
the games?
hell
Yeah.
yeah. That's the best
Okay.
part of the day.
Okay.
The Christmas Eve 4 o'clock game is kind of annoying. I will
Okay.
say that because
Okay.
I have to go to church at like 6 o'clock. So I'll be
Yeah.
sneaking in my cell phone.
There's 3
I'll
games
watch
on
as much
Christmas.
as I can. I'm gonna have to watch a lot of movies. When you celebrate it with your wife and my mother, her mother-in-law, it's gonna be a lot less football watched than than I'd hoped for.
God, you've
Good thing
already watched
Hallmark- Good
Obliterated.
thing Hallmark is streaming now on
Yeah,
Hallmark Plus.
yeah. All
Are you
right,
trying
that's
to
it on
game?
NFL
No.
this week. We want to do a little bit of a recap of the year, though, and I got us down to start out with our game of the year look back. Now, everyone, this is supposed to be one. Maybe you can have a couple things if you want to throw them out there, but I don't know who wants to start with their game of the year.
I have a good one.
All right, good.
The World Baseball Classic title game.
Oh, that
good
is a
one.
good one.
Yes.
That is a good one.
Japan beat the U.S. 3-2. In the final at bat of the game, you've got Trout up against Shohei Ohtani. Trout
Right.
works the count to 3-2, and Ohtani strikes him out swinging on the next pitch to win the Classic. It was cool.
That's a good
Yeah,
one.
that was a great
Good one.
game.
I forgot about
Good
that.
one. Balin on the board, strong, Rooster. House?
I have to say that I was painfully probably the best game of the year in the Super Bowl. That was a heavyweight fight between the Chiefs and the Eagles, and you had 2 quarterbacks happily willing to put their teams on their back. And I really think, were it not for the holding penalty on Bradbury, Jalen gets the ball back one more time and gets the Eagles a Super Bowl. But there were a lot of doubts on Jalen going into that game, and he got rid of all those doubts. He had a stupendous game, but I think both teams, it was an insanely great game. I don't know whether it's in the top 5 Super Bowls, but it's way up there as a very, very competitive, entertaining game to watch down to the very last 30 seconds of the game. And I thought, given the stakes, given the 2 teams and how they were playing, I thought it was the game of the year.
Well, I'm trying not to be a homer like House, but it's kind of hard not to when I think game 1 of the World Series was game of the year, objectively, at least in baseball. I mean, what an unbelievable moment that was when Seagerbaum tied it in the bottom of the 9th, and then the walk-off by Adolis Bombi Garcia, first one since Kirk Gibson for game 1, set the tone for the rest of the World Series and finally got Texas over the hump the first time in 52 years of their franchise to win a World Series. Just an unbelievable moment. I had so many friends, unfortunately I'm not one of them, who was there at the game, and they talk, about kind of like the moment when Seager hit the home run, how everything just went nuts. And it's a sports, moment that everybody will always remember, at least around here. So that's my game of the year.
Another good one.
Milk?
I kind of struggled with this. I feel like there weren't a lot of great games this year. I don't know, but I picked the Super Bowl because I just really liked the outcome. To be honest, it was really
Oh my
exciting.
So funny.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Show your colors.
It's so funny.
It was
I
really
picked a little bit of a more obscure game.
enjoyable.
I had the Bucks versus Heat game 4, Jimmy Butler scoring 56 in a
that
game
was
where
a good
he
one.
scored 22 points in the fourth quarter. Or no, I think he had 22 in the first, and then went over the final 7 minutes of the game, added another 21. And it was just, and actually, House, I remember you and I were texting the group, and it was like, what the fuck is happening? Because I think they were down 12 or something with like 3 minutes to go, and Butler just went bananas. And it was, I mean, those closing minutes were just unbelievable, and it put Miami into a 3-1 series lead. So I thought that game had some memories. And then my quick honorable mention, just because I think it feels like it has to be mentioned, was the Vegas Grand Prix, just from a event standpoint of all the hype leading up to it. And then the bananas start with the manhole covers, which actually resulted in a pretty good race at the end of the day. But I thought that was worthy of mention.
Did you guys
Any other
see this week
game?
where they had potentially F1 coming to New York City?
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Oh,
New York
Nightmare
F1
that
wants
would
to
be.
do one in New York.
Did not see that. All right, what do we want to do next? We want to do story of the year?
Real quick, my backup was Texas beating Alabama and just seeing Satan
Yeah.
angry on the
Just because
sideline.
you like the outcome.
I
Because it
like
wasn't really
outcome.
that great a game.
I enjoyed that outcome too.
Are
Nothing
you
better than
ready for
angry Satan.
for a rematch in a month?
Yeah.
Hmm?
All right, let's go with our story of the year. Who wants to lead off?
I'll go. My story of the year is particularly in 2023 is how Saudi and Middle Eastern money has fractured sports. Truly fractured sports. I saw a stat that the sports business in 2022, if you just count everything, just everything under the sun, is 487 billion, and it's expected to go up to 623 billion in 2027. Obviously, sports is massive business. That doesn't seem like a lot of money when you hear some of the numbers being thrown around for these offers to play in 2023. The Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund split up the PGA Tour, pretty much taking the world's top players. I don't know, it was like maybe 2 or 3 out of the top 5 players, and then brought over the world's, with the exception of 2 players, the world's best soccer players: Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar, Karim Benzema, Roberto Firmino, Sadio Mane, all for the money. And I don't know where it's headed. I actually do think that it's going to start impacting basketball eventually. I think some of the NBA players, as they get late in their career, but they still have stuff left in the tank. I think there's going to start to be a pro league. Well, there already is a pro league, but I think the league over there is going to start to compete the same way the soccer did. And I just don't know where all of this ends up, but it was not a happy story for the sports fan that wants to see. I mean, I guess if you're a Saudi Arabian soccer fan, you're happy about it, and I guess if you're a live investor, you're happy about it. But for fans that want to see the game stay together and not be destroyed by money, I don't think it was a very happy story for me for 2023.
Let me go next, because that was also my first story of the year. So I'm going to go with my second story of the year, which is in light of the sports washing by the Saudis. How awesome was it to see Lionel Messi move to MLS 7 months after winning the World Cup for Argentina and signing on to play for Inter Miami? It was just a great story. It's a success story, and he's going to make more money than a lot of those guys who have sold their soul to the devil.
Yeah, just the fact that he didn't succumb to the money grab, and he did something that's going to pay off for American soccer down the road. The hype. I mean, I don't know, House, what was it? Whatever the interleague thing that they had going, where they went on that run, and they came to Philly, they came to Dallas. Dallas was sold out. They had people, standing in line in the rain waiting to see Messi. I mean, it was it's a great story, and love to see what he did and want to see how it comes out.
Huge story.
Yeah, and mine's very similar. Although I'm going to throw a tennis wrench in here because you guys were going to talk about tennis, right?
I have a tennis story.
No,
Go for
definitely
it.
not.
No, yeah, no. I think the live PGA Tour stories. You guys have already nailed it. But it's crazy how bad the PGA Tour has come out of this whole thing, and how terrible they look. I think it was Hovland today.
It was.
Went off on the PGA Tour, and it's really changed the perception of a pretty amazing events and sport in general. And they have really bad leadership, and you can blame the Saudis a lot for what happened, of course, but I think the defense they put on, I don't know, really bad.
Well, that story is not over yet for 2023, Milk. They have until the 31st for their negotiations, and by all accounts, it appears it may be extended into the early 2024 with PIF to try to get something based on their agreement earlier this year. So that story may yet be written.
We'll see, I guess. I don't have much faith in who's running the show over there. But my tennis is Joker. He won the U.S. Open. What did he win with? 24? That broke the title. He broke Nadal's record, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and now he has the most Grand Slams of any male tennis star, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I thought that was a cool.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's worth
I knew
noting.
you guys were going to bring that up, so
There'll be 3 or 4 of our listeners who appreciate that. That was good.
That's good.
I got one that kind of permeated at the beginning of the year and then at the beginning of the football season. Damar Hamlin. The story of Damar collapsing on the field,
dead,
and having the cardiac arrest right there on the field, the EMTs and the training staff keeping him alive, and then the fact that he came back and played in another game. That's certainly something that was quite a story, and I'm pretty certain that the injury, the cardiac arrest, happened this calendar year, as did his return. Just thinking about where I was when it happened. So that's pretty much that. That's what I had down as the story of the year, with honorable mention being a lot of what you guys talked about, but also the baseball pitch clock and how it changed the game this year, because it really did change baseball.
Better.
Change baseball.
Yeah, I was shocked because I was against any change, and it turned out to be a better product.
So much better. Oh,
those bigger bases made all the difference.
Yeah, the bigger bases, right? The pizza boxes they threw down, large pizza boxes. All right, did everyone get a story of the year in? Are we missing one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Person of the year.
Sports person of the year. I'll go ahead and go first on this. And obviously it has to be Taylor Swift. No, I'm just kidding.
He's going with Max. He's going with Max. I'm telling you right now.
Well, I have him on there, and I was surprised to learn that Sports Illustrated had Dion as their sports person of the year. But mine is actually Ohtani, just because of what he's accomplished, who he is as a player. He really is at this point, I think, eclipsing Babe Ruth, who also, is a one name that goes with baseball through all of history. And Ohtani may be the new one name at the top.
Let's see him win at least one World Series before we say he eclipses Babe Ruth.
Or go to the playoffs.
Well,
has he been to the playoffs?
I think as the greatest
player
with the most ability.
Right,
yeah, with the most ability.
Now see how they feel about Ohtani.
Come on.
But then, of course, the season again culminating with his signing with the Dodgers and a record contract and a bizarro contract. And so I had Ohtani as the sports person of the year.
By the way, screw him for that contract he set up. How dare you do it that way?
$2 million.
I'm gonna pick $2 million. I'm gonna
let them go out and
backload it.
get a glass
What a
now.
dick.
And let them go out and steal your pitcher,
Asshole.
right?
God.
Milk, what's your story of the year? Or who's your person
It's
of
the
the year? Sorry.
same. Mine's Ohtani. I'm done. You've nailed it. Go to Rooster, Tommy Cutlets. Let's go.
No. I mean, I can't take Tommy Cutlets.
It's you on his agent instead.
Agent. It's
Oh my God.
I'm gonna save Max for Bison so he can do 2 because I know you want to talk about Max. I'm gonna go with, you guys are gonna be surprised by this, Carlos Alcaraz.
Okay, sure.
Worked himself
Let's
into
go
the
tennis?
worked himself into the #1 ranking at one point this year. Won Wimbledon. The year before, as a teenager, he became the first teenager to ever win the U.S. Open. He's just special. He's a rocketing rising star at a young age. He's only 20 years old right now.
This show is gonna be a hit with the country club wives, man. Holy
Wow.
shit. I've
I
seen
know.
so much tennis brought up.
Well, Bison, you kind of poo-pooed the Sports Illustrated. I mean, I selected Dion before I even knew who the Sports Illustrated person was. I mean, from a changing the dynamics of college football, whether he was successful this year, what your metric is. I mean, they were 4-8. They were 4-8, but they started with nothing. 90% of their roster was turned over. I think Dion was the person of the year because he did such an interesting thing as far as bringing these guys into Colorado, getting everybody excited about a team that had been moribund the year before. They won 2 games. Everybody wants a ticket now. 1 game. Everybody wants a ticket now in Boulder. There's a lot of excitement there. College players.
Is there still?
Yeah,
there is.
Yeah. They just picked up a big guy on the transfer portal. I can't tell you exactly who it was.
They have the best offensive line recruits in the country right now,
which is what they need.
Okay.
Glaring hole for their team.
Yeah, so they can protect his son next year, who's coming back. I just think that what he did at Colorado merited him as sports person of the year. And then that period of time when he was on top of the world and went on game day, and I mean that's something that it's kind of hard to forget because it was Coach Prime mania. People were wearing his sunglasses. I mean, it took off, and I think it'll come back next year in a different form.
Yeah.
House?
Well,
Okay.
although it's not my person of the year, it could be though. I just want to report the news because there's still a fantasy game in play between 2 of our podcasters, Bison and Pope, that Jalen Hurts is officially active for this evening.
Oh, I thought he was going to say out.
I thought you were going to say out officially.
He's officially active. And
I'm telling you right now,
I need 200 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Tonight. This could be historic.
And a lot of field goals in the rain.
Don't forget he has Devontae Adams too, or Devontae Smith.
Yeah, but you have AJ Brown.
You have AJ Brown.
I know, but if you get I'm far enough ahead that the AJ Brown points will really they don't help you that much if
they
Jalen
don't help at all.
Pass. But
you need 4
anything
TDs
to Smith,
to Devontae.
The last time AJ Brown
for the second half.
The last time AJ Brown drew a lot of criticism for his sideline behavior,
he went off.
Came back and kicked ass.
Yes, he did.
Predicting that happens tonight.
We can talk about the Eagles as long as you guys like. We can keep going with this.
Yeah.
House, who's your damn person of the year?
Well, it was mentioned before, but I went back and forth, and I want to give Max Verstappen to you too because of your love with him and Taylor and that whole threesome you want with Taylor and Max Verstappen. But
it's interesting.
I think it's we all have lived through, Tiger Woods in his prime and Michael Jordan in his prime, or at least some of us lived through Michael Jordan in his prime. Some of you guys were still nursing, but I think being able to live through Lionel Messi in his prime and the way he has transformed the sport. I understand, yes, that there was Pele and others, but what he's doing to multiple countries, to multiple leagues, he's the number one selling sports uniform in the world. The pink Inter Miami uniform is what's the number one selling uniform. An MLS uniform, a league that's probably not even in the top 5 leagues in the world, maybe not in the top 8 leagues in the world. And I just think the way he's transformed the sport, the way, like Rooster said, he didn't go for the money grab, even though smartly, I think in the end, his ownership in the team, his ownership in the jersey sales through Adidas, he will make more money. I just think that I feel fortunate. While it was the 2022 calendar, what Messi and Mbappe put on last year in that show in the World Cup, the fact that we still have it to have here in the United States, and the fact that he's transformed the game, for me, makes him the person of the year. My runner-up was another soccer player, which is the women's soccer player that we would have never known her name, but for the way she transformed the game, taking on the establishment. Jenny Hermoso, the Spanish soccer player that was forced to kiss the president of Spanish soccer. I mean, maybe that's a story, maybe it's a person, and maybe it's the two people, the Spanish president and Jenny Hermoso, but that was my runner-up. That was a big story this year.
I will tell you another, by the way, if you want a sports story that's maybe not a story of the year, but a one worth reading, I don't know if anybody read the story in Sports Illustrated about the Stanford soccer player who killed herself.
Oh yeah.
It's quite a story. It's very upsetting about how Stanford handled some investigations and things on campus, and I had a chance to read that yesterday, and it's from a month or so ago in the magazine. But if you have a chance, I'll just mention that story. It's worth a read. It's sort of devastating, but worth the read for sure. All right. Anybody else that anyone wants to mention from either a game of the year, a story of the year, sports person, anything you want to throw out that we didn't get to? I mean, I had the college sports stuff on my list to think about: NILs, the playoff scandal, paying players, realignment, all that, which of course is an ongoing story, but I had that noted down also. Of course, a lot of overlap with what you guys had, but anybody have anything else they want?
The collapse of the Pac-12.
Yeah, I mean, right. That's right. Part of
total
it.
realignment.
Yep.
I thought having different teams as the winners this year, like the Nuggets and the Rangers and the Vegas Golden Knights, was good for sports. That wasn't just the blue bloods of, yes, there might have been a lot of money behind some of those teams, but I thought that was good to change it up a little bit. That was good for 2023.
Right.
Good. That's good too. Yeah.
Go Knicks.
I'm sure we're missing a bunch of obvious stuff. And so, if we are, let us know. Let us know what listeners, what you thought was the person of the year, the story of the year. I mean, there's no question that Nerdarami is going to have something to tell us that we screwed up and we missed.
I bet it won't be.
I think it might be his fantasy
Diamondbacks.
football league performance.
Yeah, but please let us know what we missed, because we're sure there's some great stories out there that we missed. All right, with that, I think there's some punches that need to be thrown this week. And I'm going to jump right to it here. I did make a promise to one of our listeners in Utah, Rachel Sykes, that I would at least mention Draymond Green as a punchable face. And I do think Draymond needs a punch, but also needs some treatment because that man is in a downward spiral. And I've appreciated a lot of the coverage that has called into question where his coach and teammates have been in calling him out too. So I think there's definitely got to be a punch to the Golden State Warriors and to Draymond, and I'm happy to deliver that. But what I really want to talk about is the fleecing of a city.
Oh boy.
And on Tuesday of last week, I guess, maybe Wednesday, we got word that this rumor that had been circulating that really was thought to be leverage was coming to fruition. And that is that the owner of Monumental Sports Group, and Monumental owns the Washington Wizards, the Washington Capitals, the Washington Mystics, Capital One Arena, probably some other teams. I don't know. Owns the Monumental Sports Network. And that's Ted Leonsis has decided to move the Washington Wizards and Capitals out of the District of Columbia and to a soon-to-be developed 70-acre site of a sports and entertainment district in Northern Virginia. Now, you may say, well, it's only 3.5 miles away.
That's it.
But DC is, this is, and actually Michael Wilbon put it in a really smart way. It's a very layered, complicated story because, first of all, the tax revenue goes right with it. It's not like moving from downtown Chicago to a suburb of Chicago where the tax revenue all stays in the same place. The devastation this will have on the DC economy, some have said it will take 20 to 30 years to dig out of this hole. Long ago, these teams used to play out in Landover, Maryland, and Abe Pollin, who was the owner of the teams, built the then MCI Center, eventually the Verizon Center, and now Capital One Arena in the district, in a neighborhood that was undeveloped. I was there when it opened for Georgetown basketball in 1997. I think that's the right year, 97. But I was there when it opened, and there was maybe one bar nearby that you could walk to and go to after a game or before a game. And the entire neighborhood of Gallery Place, Chinatown, Penn Quarter, all grew up around that stadium. And Jose Andres, who's a very well-known international chef, he came out and tweeted and said he opened up his first restaurant in that neighborhood in 1992, a little bit more in the Penn Quarter area. And the neighborhood welcomed him. And then 5 years later, when MCI Center opened, the neighborhood welcomed the Caps and the Wizards. And this was just a complete betrayal and a complete turning of the back on the community. And, I get it. He's going to get more money, and he's going to get out of this. Leonsis is going to get out of this what DC couldn't give him. And that's a 70-acre site to build on and to do what, we've seen it the Braves do and what SoFi Stadium is, and set up a whole district with hotels and gambling and restaurants and bars. And he's going to control all of that. And so I understand he's making money off of this. But when you own these teams, particularly in a place like Washington, D.C., that isn't a state, that isn't affiliated, isn't part of a state, there's a little bit of you are a steward of those teams for the city. And this really is just a total betrayal. And I used the word, and then Tony Kornheiser stole it from me. But I said that he is just a villain, and he is public enemy number one in Washington, D.C. And I'll tell you what, I wanted to turn on the Caps game and the Wizards game yesterday, and I wouldn't do it. I have some Caps tickets. I will never buy another Caps ticket again. Let's not even get to the point that the fucking Wizards have sucked since the day he owned them. He hasn't brought us a good team, but I won't buy a ticket. And I will tell you that this fan who is Washington through and through, I'm not sure I can root for those teams anymore. So Ted Leonsis, you are really public enemy number one. And to the extent I can keep reminding people in DC to hate you, I intend to do that.
Wow, you've moved on from Danny to Ted.
You have another villain owner?
Snyder's off the schneid.
Oh
Wow.
my God.
Listen, man, a lot of people have made that comparison. Dan Snyder packed up and moved out of London, and Leonsis was like, "I got this." So
Let's
he
bring the
willingly
Whalers
grabbed the
back and put
mantle.
them in DC, Bison.
Gotta get the
I'll do
Commanders
it.
back in DC now. Seriously.
Well, the mayor and the city council aren't blameless here. I'm not going to say any more than that for political reasons right now, but yeah, they do have a tall task now to lock in the Commanders. I mean, they really do. And I don't understand why they couldn't have done some sort of big sports and entertainment district with the Commanders. There are a few places they could have done this, and they could have built the whole thing together. But here we are.
How certain is this? Because Virginia is famous for putting stuff like this up for referendum after it's supposedly been decided and screwing deals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is this
well,
final?
that's the only hope. The Arlington City Council has to approve it. They felt pretty good about that since every member of the council was sitting on the stage with Leonsis at the press conference last week. So that didn't give us much hope in DC that they would vote against it. But the legislature, the state house, will have to approve it, is my understanding. You never know.
Bison, you're a DC guy through and through. You work there, you live there for most of the year, but you're a DC guy. There are a lot of DC sports fans that could be Maryland, they could be Virginia, they could be just outside the city. I wonder how much this impacts the fan support for these teams, if it does at all. I'm curious to know. I have no idea. I'm curious to know of the people when those stadiums are full, when the Cap Stadium is full, what percentage of it are true DC residents? Are some going to be like, hey, this is great. Arlington's easier for me to get to than trying to park down there or take whatever public transportation to get to the Verizon Center or Cap One Center, whatever it's called.
There will be some, and listen, I'm certain that they feel that they did their homework and feel that they wouldn't have any problem filling it. But as many DC residents that are at the games, it's also people who work in the district, in the law firms and things like that who have tickets and whose offices are down there. The other thing that's worth noting is where they're putting it, right by National Airport. And as some guy tweeted out there, so let me get this straight. You've flown across the country on a 5-hour flight. Your headphones died somewhere over Iowa.
Yeah.
All you want to do is get home when you land. And your Uber ride is going to cost you $175 and take 90 minutes because fucking LeBron's in town. And that is the truth. I mean, that is the area is terrible for traffic already.
Not only that, but Virginians are notoriously anti-NBA. They're a ACC basketball fandom. They don't follow the NBA. We had when the ABA was around, Virginia had the Squires, and they were a flop because no one was going to the games.
Interesting. Well, we'll see. I mean, I hope he fails. I hope he fails miserably.
You made that pretty clear.
Yeah.
Is
Any
his
other punches?
pain.
Any other punches? All right. Who's got a lasso? I hope somebody's got a lasso.
I have a
Brewster?
good one. I have a good one. This is a story about Butch Stockton, who was a little white-haired old man who used to coach basketball at Chalmette High School in Louisiana. His wife, Dawn, of 31 years, died recently of cancer. And he's all by himself. I guess they don't have any kids, or if they do, they're not in the house or in the area. And so one of his former players is Mitchell Robinson, center for the New York Knicks. And Mitchell Robinson called up his old coach and said, I don't want you to grieve alone. I want you to move into my apartment with me in New York City and live with me. And the two of them are living together as a very unlikely couple, as roommates in New York, and plan to do so until the end of the 2023-24 NBA season. And so personally reminded of the kindness of friends when you're going through something like this. And I just want to give a shout out to Mitchell Robinson for an incredible gesture to his old coach.
That's
Very
a great
good one.
story.
Yeah, that is a good story. I hadn't heard that. Hope, you got a pour out you wanted?
Yeah, we can do buzzers first. I'll pour out the end. If anybody has any buzzers.
Okay. Buzzer beaters. Who's got a buzzer beater? House?
Mine is in the world of fantasy football. I'm not going to chew up a lot of time, but
wow.
Oh my God.
Something happened this weekend?
Wow. Was there a game this weekend?
My 1 year reign of champion looks to be over unless Tyler Lockett fumbles 3 times tonight.
As a fumble, yeah.
Regrettably, Taylor Swift made sure that Travis Kelce was my first round pick was going to be worthless this year. And so it's somewhere between a punch and a buzzer beater. I don't want to punch a woman, but Taylor Swift effectively ended my fantasy football season. She might be your fantasy, Bison, but she's my nightmare. That's my buzzer beater.
Airing of grievances.
Festivus
Totally
is on Saturday, House. Keep your grievances to yourself.
I have a lot of problems with you people.
Any other buzzer beaters?
All right, next time we get together, I guess mine, I don't know if it's really a buzzer beater. Next time we get together, will be after the college football playoff semifinals. And as much as everybody, we talked about Florida State, the 2 games couldn't be any more juicy with Alabama and Michigan, 2, powerhouse programs, and Washington and Texas. Texas finally trying to get back to the promised land. So I'm looking forward to those games. I think probably most of our listeners are as well.
Totally.
Is that your pour one out?
No, that's not. I'm not pouring anything out for Alabama yet.
Uh-oh.
No.
But I will pour one out for Tar Heel Nation, though. This is a really sad day, guys. Eric Montrose, and this one's kind of personal. Eric Montrose, who was the center for the Tar Heels in the early 90s, a 4-year starter, All-American center, won a national championship. His Tar Heel team beat the Fab Five, Michigan, in 1993. Jersey retired in the rafters. He was a first-round pick of the Celtics, had a up and down basketball NBA career, did a tour at the Mavericks for a year or so. But really, after he retired from the NBA is when he, kind of took on a different perspective. He became the color analyst for the Tar Heel Network, moved back to Chapel Hill with his family. He was a co-founder of the Vaccine Ambassadors, which is a program to distribute vaccines all over the world, especially to developed countries and young children. In 1994, he started the Eric Montrose Father's Day basketball camp, which has raised over $1 million for the UNC Children's Hospital since its inception. One of my best trial lawyer friends, Todd Clement, and his son would go to the Eric Montrose Father's Day basketball camp. They got to be really good friends. Eric lived behind Todd, and they got to be good friends when they lived in Dallas. And he would always go to the camp, and it was a big, said it was an amazing experience, the way Eric would deal with all the kids and the fathers. He was the Rams Club, which is the Tar Heel Alumni Athletic Foundation that my wife belongs to, so as a UNC alum. And Eric was actually her contact at the Rams Club. So in addition to working for the university as a color analyst for the network, he was also working with the Rams Club. And so I just remember whenever I met him, and I met him 2 or 3 times when we would go to go follow the Tar Heels, whether it was in Chapel Hill or during the tournament. He's such a nice guy. And he remembered who Cheryl was and who I was. And whenever he would see Cheryl, he would, say, "Hey, how are you doing? It's good to see you again. How's Dallas?" And she had his cell phone number in her contacts. And we knew he got cancer diagnosis. We knew it was bad in March. He had to quit his job as Tar Heel analyst after the end of last year. We just didn't know that it would be such a short time. So he's only 52 years old, guys. And it's just really one of the heartbreaking, nicest guys you'll ever meet. It just shows you that bad things happen to good people. And I'd like to pour one out because Tar Heel Nation and family and friends, they're hurting. So Eric Montrose, what a great life, well lived.
In peace.
AP.
All right. Guys, anything else? We'll see about the rest of the year, what we can get together and get out there. Pope, I hope you go down in a blaze of glory tonight in your fantasy game.
I don't think it's going to be close. Don't worry.
I hope it's not.
But if it is,
Milk, what was your record the year you won going into the playoffs?
Wasn't very good.
you scraped in. If I
It was
remember
7-7, as I recall.
Something
Uh-oh.
like that.
I think
Sounds
it's
like Rooster's feeling a little
I'm
cocky.
feeling it. I'm feeling it.
Oh boy.
The cockiness
Boy.
is
Yeah.
restored in the
Cockadoodle
Rooster.
doo.
Wow.
Boy.
Throwing the gauntlet down.
Wow.
All right.
To all of our fans, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. You'll be hearing
Happy
some,
holidays. Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Happy holidays, everyone.
some
Yes,
replays
see
from
y'all.
us on the holidays. See ya.
Absolutely.
See ya.
See you after.